Hello, Sonny Bananakin, and it is 7:38 Central African Time. Welcome to the BrakeAway Racing League. Welcome to the top tier. Welcome to Q1, a full quality session. We do hope to be joined by more drivers before all is said and done. We do expect quite a lot more drivers here. We're watching these initial three, that being Tepiso, Romeo, aka Mandla, and Debo Crocodile on their outlaps around the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Bienvenido a todos, bienvenido a Barcelona, bienvenido a Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya for this fifth race. We're almost halfway through the season in the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. This is Debo Crocodile staking their claim on the qualification times here. We're gonna stay on board with them. We've seen drivers already playing it safe, considering we don't have a full lobby here today. This is Debo Crocodile through the first sector. Sector 1 split of a 21.968. Completes the right-hander of turn 4, hits the brakes, down to gear 2 in his case, for turn number 5, the left-hander. This is 6 into the sweeping 7th and 8. Takes a little bit of curve for both of them. And the question is, how much throttle application will he put through 9? The answer was a flat out on the limit. He also took a little bit of curve as he sends it flying towards turn number 9. Slow left-hander where we saw some audacious moves in both tier 3 and 2. Throughout this week, there have been some audacious moves through there. Turn 9 is, of course, one of the places where Fence 8 put on one of the most stout defenses that we've seen this entire season. Debo Crocodile takes a little bit of curve, more than they would have wanted through the final corner, comes across the line. It's the quickest lap that we have thus far. Tepiso, meanwhile, in that Ferrari, could not set a banker lap. He had invalidated, sadly, so he's going to have to go all the way around once again. Mandla was one of the 3 early drivers to come out, but sadly, as you can see, it has been an invalidation as he now makes his way down the back straight towards turn number 9. The next driver to begin their push lap is going to be Stage Figure of Speech, representing Red Bull, being cheered on somewhere in South Africa by teammate the 86er, who sadly, due to work commitments, is seemingly not going to be able to make it. On board we go with the Red Bull driver. First sector of a 22.101, not among the quickest that we've seen thus far, compared to, of course, Debo Crocodile, who has the only banker lap. That was turn 5, passes the slow-moving Ferrari, which made way duly. Takes a little bit of curve through turns 7 and 8. Tried as much as possible to apply heavy throttle through 9, and now going to slow down for the looping left-hander here to begin the third sector. Stage Figure of Speech in the top tier has a golden opportunity to stake their claim for a comprehensive survival in the top tier. Here it comes now towards the line. It's going to be a 13.736, slightly slower than Debo Crocodile, despite having the faster compound of tire. So it seems that Tepiso is on the verge of beginning another push lap. Man Ray is also out on track on the mediums, and we'll catch up with their progress soon enough. Here comes Tepiso. Played it conservatively through turns 1 and 2. Did not want to risk unnecessary invalidations. He's already gone for 2 laps around this set of medium tires. But as things stand, this one counts. Cepiso, slight moment fighting the rear of the car on the exit of what was turn 13, but he kept the lap together, and he comes across the line now to set the third quickest time on the mediums, which are 3 laps old. Meanwhile, Man Ray had crossed the line already to set a 14.503, presumably earlier on, so Man Ray giving it another push from scratch. Mercurial Caesar is on an out lap. Zotal has just begun their push lap. So it's Debo Crocodile from Sage Figure Speech from Cepiso. Man Ray makes up that P4 spot, and we've yet to see Ban Kobe or Tefo Temba, who strangely is listed as Cepiso in the other Williams. So that is a slight glitch. I did see Tefo Temba join the lobby and select the correct car, which is a Williams. Tefo Temba and Ban Kobe, of course, that partners in crime, partners on track. As we now watch Zotal take turns 7 and 8. He keeps it flat. He manages it through turn 9. Really tries to carry as much speed as possible through turn 12. Trying not to toy too much with the turn limits. He manages to keep it flat out through the final corner. Here he comes across the line on the softs. It's a 1 minute 12.907. Zotal, top of the pops. Zotal with the new benchmark. Further down on track, it's Mercurial Caesar, who from that slight shot that we joined him on, seemed to have had the slightest twitch of the rear. I believe that was through the exit of turn number 4. But nevertheless, the lap is still together. Takes much more curve. He's happier to toy with the limits comparative or relative to some of the other drivers that we've seen thus far. He was also flat out through 9, heavy on the brakes all the way down to 3rd gear through the looping left-hander of turn 10. We did see some steering adjustments there, so not the most perfect of exits through 11 and 12, but see how much curve he took through turn 14. He went completely off the track, and that is lap compromise on those soft tires. You'll come across the line with a 1 minute 15.386. Mercurial Caesar, of course, in a rivalry with none other than their teammate. He was the class of the field in Qatar, went pretty much untouched for most of the race. Claimed the maximum 25 points in the race in Qatar, and he really did a fantastic job to fight his way through the field and be among the leading drivers come the end of the sprint race in Qatar. And Gowacko, D-Wax, is here, out on track. We've got 2 retirements from this lobby, happy to buy their time and make their progress through the Q2. D-Wax also playing it safe as far as saving those fresh set of soft tires for the later part of qualifying. Oh, D-Wax, not necessarily very comfortable there through turn 8. Took way more curve than he would have wanted to, compromised his exit. But as you can see, it is definitely one of the slower laps. Only 1 minute 04 come the end of Sector 2. How hard is Mandla pushing? It's a brand new set of softs for Mandla. But yeah, it definitely is not a representative lap at this particular point in time. This is not Cepiso, it is Tefo Temba, who is very slow here through turns 1 and 2. Perhaps disturbed by the slow moving. Looks like it might be D-Wax, who might have compromised the Tefo Temba's run through those initial corners. D-Wax now back in the familiar surroundings of Team AlphaTauri, where he spent so many seasons of the top tier, is now moving slow, as is this man, Tsepo Temba, who is listed on the left as Tepiso, strangely enough. Mandla has been disconnected from the session. He will hope to get back as soon as he possibly can. And while we wait for him, we'll hop on board with Smirch Django. Sector 1 for the McLaren driver. Concludes it at a time of 21.814. A lot of curve through 5 for Django. A lot more than he would have wanted to there, but still a valid lap. It's still all together. Flat out through 9. Screams through towards the turn 10. Left-hander takes a little bit of curve. 51.096 is that split. So we do expect this time to give D-Wax and Debo Crocodile a lot to think about. Who knows? Possibly even Zotao. He's on the soft, remember. We've also yet to see Don Rabico giving it a full push. There it is. It's Smirch Django, the quickest driver thus far. 1 minute 12.493. How much pace is still in the bag for all of these drivers? Don Rabico, championship protagonist, with the quickest onboard Sector 2 split that we've seen in the low 50 seconds. Oh, almost took out that board. He might well have done so. Is that a slight lift of the throttle through the final corner for Debo Crocodile? Anyway, he's the first driver to crack the 1 minute 11th. It's a 1:11.440. Don Rabico is happy to show what sort of pace he has in hand. And if this is what we're seeing in Q1, I would love to hear your thoughts on what sort of time we could expect in the scrap for pole positions. Loveness, Tato, coming across the line now. 14.427 is good enough for P8. 3 places behind their teammate D-Wax. So Team AlphaTauri have their banker laps in hand and are on the verge of, guaranteeing securing their progression through to Q2. 2 chances of getting points, says Tepiso in the comment section. Definitely Duke cheering them on, saying, make the most of it. Cabozo with a little bit of ribbing in the comments section, urging Tepiso not to crash or crush, as we are so familiar with that particular term. We've yet to see Ban Kobe out on track, perhaps still in holiday mode after their sensational time out in Qatar watching the Grand Prix. Ban Kobe is back in the lobby. Perhaps even definitively back in South Africa. We will see how that goes. The quickest driver out towards the end of Q1 with less than 3 minutes to go is Don Rabico, I beg your pardon, with that 1 minute 11.440. Smirch Django, second quickest from Zotao in P3. Debo Crocodile holds the 4th position from D-Wax. Sage Figure of Speech is in P6 from Tepiso in 7th. Loveness is the 8th fastest through this initial qualifying session. P8. Man Ray holds that P9 spot. He went out on those set of medium tires, and here comes Loveness, slightly over the curbs there to make their way into the pits. Man Ray, 9th quickest from Akiro Caesar, who's happy to stay in the pits. We saw that final corner, slight twitch there from Akiro Caesar. He's still in P10. Romeo Mandla, P11. Sepotemba is 12th, and Van Kobe, well, looks like he's going to roll the dice here. The second Williams driver, happy to stay in the pits without coming out here towards the end of Q1. Or there comes a moving Williams. That would be Ban Kobe, I believe. He's definitely got enough time to make their way around the track. It is a shorter track, remember? A revised track, courtesy of the organizers, eliminating that chicane in Sector 3 just before the finish line. Ban Kobe here to stake their claim. Kobe on the verge of beginning his push lap. Mercurial Caesar further ahead has already done so. We'll take a closer look from Kobe's vantage point, and meanwhile we'll see whether or not Mercurial Caesar is indeed pushing all out fast enough to dislodge Don Ravico at the top of these standings. Kobe, fresh soft tires. Mercurial Caesar also fitting on a brand new set. Opted not to stay on the tires in which he ran initially. So Mercurial Caesar is out here on a fresh set of soft tires. This, however, is Kobe, who has just exited turn 5, with 6. How much curve will he take through 7 and 8? The answer is not much through 7, but definitely more through 8. Oh no, Mandla is having issues with their inverter. We do commiserate with you. Mercurial Caesar was definitely pushing, but that Q1 lap is a 1 minute 12.130. Here comes Kobe to complete their push lap. And it looks like Kobe might have even scored a time in the top, 5. It's P5 for Kobe, who was the last driver to cross the line. Sets their banker lap, and we'll be happy with that smooth progression through to Q2. If you're brand new to Formula One, folks, qualifying, the name of the game is fairly simple. Send that car around the track as fast as you possibly can. And with each qualifying session, 5 drivers are knocked out. Had we had a full grid here, we would have knocked out 5 drivers, and 15 would have been going through to Q2. But since we have 13 active drivers, they will all take part in this next qualifying session. And thereafter, it'll be the shootout for the pole position.
Better. 7 of the 10 winners were or would go on to be world champions. There's been many victories since, but it was here in Catalonia that Max Verstappen won his very first Grand Prix in 2016. As a result, he has earned himself a number of records, becoming the youngest ever F1 winner, podium finisher and lap leader. It was on this circuit way back in 1996 that we first saw Michael Schumacher race for Ferrari. He finished on to win 5 world championships with the Maranello outfit.
Here we go, folks. Tipiso. Not wasting any time, as is usually the case. It looks like Man Ray is also on that trajectory, being tailed by Tipiso as things currently stand. We'll stay with Man Ray and see how he fares now through these initial push laps through Q2. We saw how chaotic the opening lap was in Tier 2 racing yesterday. Sadly, Definitely Duke was taken out. I believe it was through turn 3. It might have been Sims who made contact with Definitely Duke. And this track can be unforgiving, especially through those long looping right-handers. If you lack grip, or if someone makes contact with you, it could pretty much send you spinning out onto either the gravel or, well, the walls in some cases. This is Man Ray now through turns 9 and 10. We'll stay with the Haas driver as one of the first on their push laps this time. Tapiso, Debo Crocodile, Mercurial Caesar, Zotile, Sage Figurative Speech, and Seppo Temba are the drivers that are early out on to this Q2 session. Man Ray, flat out through turn 3, pushing as hard as he possibly can. Let's get a sense of Sector 1 time was in the 21 seconds. And you can hear the brake screeching there through turn 5 for the Haas driver. That was 7. This is 8. We've seen drivers really struggle through those corners, but no issue for Manray here on his first push through Q2. Sends it now screaming towards turn 9. 51.3 is that Sector 2 split. Not bad for Manray, trying to play it as carefully as you possibly can. The first driver to cross the line is the Gawako D-Wax. 1 minute 13.119 is the Alpha Tauri driver's effort. Here comes Manray towards the line now. It's a 1 minute 12.960, and Mercurial Caesar is going to be next. He's quickest. He pips Manray 12.2, 1 minute 12.254. And there's a Ferrari of Tapiso, which has also just crossed the line, 13.056, good enough for P3. Provisionally, Seppo Temba is going to be next across the line, or no, is it going to be? No, it's Bankobi who's just beginning their push lap. Zotal has just come across the line, 112.787. There's a Red Bull on the verge at his stage figure of speech, 112.972. Where did Mercurial's pace go, and where did the no ABS go? Asked C-Play in the comment section. Is that Mercurial absolutely pushing, or do we have a little bit of sandbagging here, and is he keeping some pace in his pocket for the Q3 run? Shalane, aka Shakes, says if that's Mercurial's true pace, then he is going to be getting dusted. Sadly for him, it is not going to be going well, reckons Shakes in the comment section. Ban Kobe. His Sector 1 was a 21.2. Here it comes now through turn 9, trying to maintain as much pace as he possibly can ahead of Van Kobe through this track now. Is, one of the Mercedes which has just made its way back into the pits. Here comes Van Kobe through 13. He's flat out. Caesar happy to retire and progress through to the final quali session. Van Kobe was still flat out there. He gave an almighty push. It's 1 minute 13.258, good enough for P7. Van Kobe back in the race seat. What about Seppo Temba trying to fight as he possibly can for Team Williams? Sadly, that was an invalidation from Seppo Temba, who opts to come back into the pit. As you can see, no more playing it safe. This is the quali session where we will see 3 drivers getting knocked out. Only 10 can progress through to Q3, and that is why we're not seeing drivers playing around with a set of medium compound tires. Evil Crocodile, their time was a 13.096. He's done 2 laps around this circuit. Seems to be now making his way on their in-lap, as you can see, about 2 seconds slower than their best effort. Ban Kobe also on their in-lap, in fact, about to conclude said in-lap. Django and Tato, aka Loveness, are the next pair, which will be on their push laps. And at the very least, we will have a 14th driver in the shape of Enebo for the race proper. On board we go with Smirch Janko, and at the later part of this we will check out Tato, aka Loveness's progress. 21.627 for Django through the end of the first sector. He exits turn 4, lines up his entry into 5, takes a little bit of curve, and he was down to 3rd gear for that 5th corner. He sends it down to 5 through turns 7 and 8, taking a little bit of curve while trying to maintain as much speed as possible. Did Django to be flat out through 9 and see the Sector 2 split with a mark of 50.703 seconds. So it is definitely a sense of just how much pace Django has in the bag with that Sector 2 splits. The average split that we've seen there through the end of Sector 2 has been in the 51 seconds. but not for Django, who's looked very, very good and comes across the line now for the quickest time that we have seen thus far in Q2, 1 minute 12.005. Piffs Mercurial Caesar to that P1 spot with less than 7.5 minutes of this session to go. This is Tato. This is Loveness. This is Team AlphaTauri. D-Wax has already done a 113.119. Here comes Loveness through turns 7 and 8. Without too much incident. Flat out through 9. Screaming towards the braking zone in the left-hander. 51.330 is a time that may yet give Man Ray, stage figure of speech, a lot to think about. Don Radical is going to do a time in the 1 minute 10. So reckon C-Play in the comment section. Do you agree? How much sandbagging are we seeing? How much pace in hand do the top runners still have to show us? Here comes Tato. Loveness towards the line. 1 minute 13.140 is P9 for the Alpha Tauri driver. Don Radical, Team Mercedes, Sector 1 split was like 21.626. Here comes now, screaming towards turn 9. He lifts off the throttle there. Not quite an almighty push compared to some of the laps we've seen. 51.1 is that split at the end of the second sector. Don Radical has already set a time in the 1 minute 11. Let's see how he feels now. This is 13. Flat through 14. And it is a 112.339 for Don Radical. He tucks right behind his teammate, and effectively, well, it was between his teammate and this man, Zotao, who instead has found some improvement. Now second quickest is the Ferrari driver just behind Smirch Django. We have 5.5 minutes of this session to go, folks. Welcome to the top tier. Well, welcome to BrakeAway League Racing. We will see how all of these drivers fare. 5 minutes of this session to go. At the very least, we will now have 15 drivers at the start of this race. We do hope that Mandla can rejoin the lobby and take control of that car in time for the race to begin. If Mandela's power situation will be resolved in his area of residence. Bankobi back out on track on a push lap. But we will see this time. Looks like Debo Crocodile is still in their out lap. But he's on the verge of beginning a push lap. We already watched Bankobi a little bit earlier on with that time, which was good enough for a 13.258. Bankobi has fitted a fresh set of soft tires. Debo Crocodile has done exactly that. I would like to hear from you what time will be quick enough and safe enough to survive the chop and to go through to Q3. Debo Crocodile improves by 6/100ths of a second come the end of Sector 1, and that turn through turn 4. Oh, takes a lot of curb on the exit of 5. We'll hope not to lose too much time. Mandla is back as far as the power situation is concerned, so that's good news. We will see Mandla racing in this race. Debo Crocodile pushing. He's found a 10th.5 come the end of the second sector. Might be good enough to leapfrog figure of speech, but will it be enough to secure progression to Q3? Stressful times for Debo Crocodile. Here he comes towards the line. P10, he's on the brink of elimination as Debo Crocodile. Meanwhile, D-Wax has also found about 1.2 worth of improvement come the end of the first sector. Oh, D-Wax coming a cropper through turns 7 and 8. That was an invalidation. Sadly, he kept that car running. Brand new soft. He's going to have to go all the way around, will the AlphaTauri driver. Their teammate currently on an out lap. And all of the drivers occupying the top 4 positions are content with their efforts. They're happy to retire, and well, they don't necessarily see any risks of getting eliminated at this particular point. What will be the cutoff point as far as those qualifying times into Q3? Let me know in the comment section. 2.5 minutes of this Q2 session to go. We're on board with Sid's figure of speech, who has found 2.5 tenths worth of improvement come the end of the first sector. He exits turn 4, carrying as much speed as possible, lines up the entry into 5, takes a little bit of curve down to 3rd gear as he now sends it screaming out towards turns 7 and 8. Take a little bit of curve. Not as much as D-Wax did. He is still looking okay. It is still valid. 2 minutes of the session to go. He sets a Sectors 2 split, which represents a significant improvement on their best time thus far. It is down in the 50 seconds at the end of that second sector. Sage figure of speech lines up entry into the final corner, lifts off the throttle, perhaps not quite comfortable with the level of grip that he has, improves to P5, 1 minute 12.395. He will feel perhaps content with that. Tato Loveness is on another push lap, on the verge of completing their push lap, and it looks like it might be a mighty one to secure survival. It's P6 for the AlphaTauri driver. Tato is safe, and D-Wax is on an outlap here trying to secure their survival. Man Ray for Team Haas, what can he do? Currently on the brink. Debo Crocodile, D-Wax, and Mandla are the 3 that are on the verge of, not making it through to Q3 here. Mandla has effectively retired out of this session, will take no further part, and will begin minimum from P13, sadly. D-Wax is on their outlap. Will they have enough time? He's going to have to cut almighty corners if he's only just made his way out. This, however, is Man Ray, who has just exited turn 5. Down to 4th gear to 7. Knocked the best racing line on the entry into 8. Still a valid lap for a 6th gear, but he had a slight lift off the throttle there. So Man Ray on the brink perhaps. He's down on his time. He's down almost 9/10 of a second. So perhaps it is tickets for Man Ray, and perhaps this is guaranteed elimination unless miraculously he can make it towards the line to begin another push lap. Can he? Nope. It is back to the pits. And Guaco, D-Wax knows what he needs to do. Mex joining this lobby means we will have 16 drivers, thankfully, come the start of the race proper. Just a 10th of improvement for Nguwako, aka D-Wax. It will not be enough. He needs more come the end of this push lap. Not looking very comfortable for D-Wax here. He's now sending it screaming into turn 9. Slight lift off the throttle. And it's a 2/10 improvement, 51.171. D-Wax on the brink. Debo Croc on the brink. Oh, the exit of 12 compromise for D-Wax. It's now or never towards the line, trying to carry as much speed as possible. Risk it for the biscuit. Crosses the line, but sadly, no improvement that is good enough to guarantee progression to the next quali session. It is D-Wax in that P12 spot. So Smirch Jangle was the fastest driver through Q2. Zotao went the second quickest. And then we have the Mercedes pair of Don Radical and Mercurial Caesar rounding off those top 4 spots. We managed to see some drivers on their final runs, securing their progression to Q3, the likes of Sitch Figure of Speech and Loveness, who will be the sole representative for AlphaTauri in Q3. Ban Kobe is through to the final quality session with the 7th quickest time, about half a second from the leading pack. And Tepo Temba, 8/10 down, is P8. It's a full house for Williams in Q3, as is the case for Team Mercedes. Ferrari will also be represented thanks to Tapiso setting the P9 time of a 112.842. Debo Crocodile, 112.933. Rounds off your top 10. Let's take a look. 3 sets of tires used for Tepo Temba and Ikobako D-Wax. Sadly for the latter, though, it is no progression to Q3. Thank you for joining us. You're just in time for the 3rd and final quali session. Welcome to Barcelona. Bienvenido a todos a Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona. Bienvenido, bienvenido. Buenas noches a todos. Eso es BrakeAway Racing League. Eso es primera tier in the racing. We will have 12 minutes. The aim of the game is simple. Send the car around the track as fast as you possibly can. The fastest drivers, as far as their times, obviously will then qualify higher and will begin the race higher up the grid. So the faster your time, the higher up on the qualifying grid you shall be.
He would go on to win it again in Spain in 2013 while driving for Ferrari. Pastor Maldonado's 2012 win unfortunately turned out to be his only podium in the sport. However, the race weekend saw him set some world firsts in the process. Maldonado became the first Venezuelan driver to start from pole, finish on the podium, and...
Tapiso, wasting no time. Zotile, also on that. I don't think we've had a extended onboard with Zotile, so we'll stay with the second Ferrari driver, who happens to be occupying that P4 spot in the championship. He's got 46 total championship points. Thank you very much to our points the keeper of the points, the keeper of the standings, that being, of course, Kid K for supplying the stats. Zotile, 46 championship points. Your championship leader, however, is Don Rabico on 76 points. But it is so close at the top. Mercurial Caesar hunting him down. Mercurial Caesar has 75 points. Neither of our championship leaders have missed a single race. They're really pushing each other to the limits. It is a spicy situation in that Brackley-based team, and well, we'll get a sense of just how much spice those two will serve up today. Zotile, Tapiso, Sage Figure of Speech, and Tempo Temba are the drivers currently running. 10 minutes of the qualifying session to go. We'll stay initially with Zotile here to begin this final quali session. The deployment of ERS down the main straight, as you can see. Sending it screaming in towards turn number 1. Fourth gear for the Ferrari driver. Through 1 and 2, up to 5th. Hugs the inside through the long right-hand turn of turn number 3. Does exactly the same, but of course has to slow down and shift down to 4th gear through... that was turn 3 and 4, I beg your pardon. This was 5, however. And let's see now how he lines it up into 7, how much of the curb he takes. The answer is a little bit through 7, a little more through 8. Will he try to be flat out through 9? Yes, he is. He keeps it stuck in. Does Zotile. Let's get a sense of how quickly he might be going. 51.110 at the end of that second sector. Sage Figure of Speech and Tempo Temba are on their push run. Tapiso sets a 1 minute 13.711 to lay down the early benchmark here. What can Zotile do in answer? He already had a time of the 1 minute 12 in the second qualifying session with 8 minutes 45 seconds to go in this session. It is Zotile towards the line for Ferrari to set a 1 minute 12.559. And here, Tempo Temba. How far along is he? Looks like Van Kobe is only beginning his push lap now. So we will instead hop on over to... We'll stay with Tempo Temba. 51.5 at the end of the second sector. It looks like Sage Figure of Speech might set a time a couple of seconds before this man, Tempo Temba, crosses the line. So we'll see how well Sage Figure of Speech will do. It looks like he might have come back into the pit. Sage Figure of Speech. Tempo Temba crosses the line. 1 minute 13.175. Good enough for P2 as things currently stand. There's a Mercedes on the verge of beginning their push lap. And the answer is, which one? It's Don Rabico. Their teammate Mercurial Caesar still on their out lap as things currently stand. This man leads the championship by 1 point. 76 points for Don Rabico compared to Mercurial's 75. Being hunted down, feeling the heat, feeling the pressure from inside his own quarters. There's a poll running here about who will take pole. 77% of you reckon it's going to be Don Rabico. 23 reckon it's going to be Mercurial Caesar. No one has opted for Smirch Django. 23%. No one has chosen Mercurial Caesar up until this point. Well. It's Don Rabico now making their way through Sector 2, however. screaming through turn number 9, flat out. This time, not wasting any time, showing their pace. 50.343 is one of the faster splits that we've seen come the end of Sector 2. Debo Crocodile goes top of the pops provisionally with that 1 minute 12.222. Debo Crocodile with the new benchmark, but here comes the champion. Here comes the championship leader. Here comes Don Ravico across the line. It's a 1 minute 11.295, the quickest time that we've seen thus far. But what can Smirch Django do towards the line to challenge the top runners? It's only good enough for P2, 111.4, and Smirch Mercurial Caesar is going to be next towards the line. His Sector 2 split is a 50.295. It is going to be tight at the top if he manages to maintain this momentum all the way through towards the end of this lap. 6 minutes of this qualifying session to go. Here comes Mercurial Caesar now. The exit of 12 was clean. 13 without incident. Will he be flat out through 14? No! It's a slight lift of the throttle for Mercurial Caesar. Will that cost him in the run towards pole? Yes, it does! It's a 111.298! It is so close, 3/1000ths of a second, separating the Mercedes pair at the top of the pops. Don Ravico leads by the tiniest of margins with 5 minutes of this qualifying session to go. Meanwhile, Tato Loveness is pushing towards the end of this quali lap. What'll it be for the AlphaTauri driver flying the flag for the Italian team? He now crosses the line, 1 minute 12.840, good enough for P6. Absolutely pushing as hard as he possibly can. Wandal Shezzy, Mercedes boys, he says with that fire emoji, marveling at some of the quality that we've seen on show out here in Spain. That lift costed mere thousand, says the Nucho in the comment section, barely believing the fine margins here in the top tier of BrakeAway Racing League. The time to beat is a 1 minute 11.1, says Shakes in the comment section. Django lost time in the final sector, says definitely Duke. In the comment section, I want to hear your thoughts. Don Ravico now has a 62% chance of winning, or rather of securing pole position, according to your predictions in that poll that we've got running. Please vote on the poll. Please like the stream if you have not done so already. Tapiso is back, giving it an almighty push. Once again, it's a fresh set of soft tires for Tapiso. Don Ravico in the pits has also just bolted on a fresh set of tires as well. We will see how Tapiso fares on what could be his final push effort here. It's funny enough, when I asked you earlier on, none of you had voted for Mercurial Caesar. Well, some of you are starting to change tune now. 6% of you reckon Mercurial Caesar is going to take the pole position. Another 6% of you reckon, it's going to be Zotal who takes pole position before all is said and done over here. Well, we will see just how close you might be. Secretly says Don is going to be setting a time in the 1 minute 10s. Let's see, however, how Tapiso's final push effort will go here. Slight lift off the throttle through the final corner. Tapiso across the line improves by 1.1 seconds. 1 minute 12.535 is his new personal best. He leapfrogs his teammate and takes that P5 spot. Zotal is going to have to give it another go, another push. Justice, aka Context, says, you know what? You guys don't rate Mercurial Caesar, and I don't rate that. I don't rate that you guys don't rate Mercurial Caesar. You're doubting the Mercedes driver, who was absolutely imperious, peerless in Qatar, where Ban Kobe was out watching the real-life race, of course, in Prospect. For more details, visit Bangubi's Instagram to see whether or not he enjoyed his time in Qatar. Look at the food, look at the fishing, look at the way that Bangubi was dressed to the nines on practice day, on qualifying day, and on race day. But say Mr. Bangubi, he did not see his hero, his idol, his Lewis Hamilton with an edit. You can see closely. The Instagram ni Bangubi, containing all highlights from Qatar and beyond. This is Six Figure of Speed. Flying flag for Team Red Bull, being cheered on somewhere in South Africa by teammate the 86er. Now towards the end of the second sector, was absolutely pushing flat out through turn number 9 into the braking zone. He goes. 51.123 is that Sector 2 split. Sage Figure of Speech fighting for his life here in the top 10 contingent, looking to claw his way up the pack to be able to set a decent effort before all is said and done. The top 3 drivers still in the pits. They're going to leave it late, absolutely late. They want a clear pit, a clear track, a clear run. And Sage Figure of Speech on that push lap takes it all the way up to P5. Nudges to Piso, Zotal, Loveness, Seppo Temba down a notch or 2. ABS is on this time, says Billy Hendricks. These guys take the right line, says Shakes. They just not brave enough on the throttle. Oh no, Don Rabico has been handed a grid penalty for blocking the pit lane. It's a nightmare scenario for the championship leader. He needs the points. He needs whatever advantage he could possibly clear out. And he's earned a 5-second grid penalty, possibly for being too slow out of the blocks, out of the pit lane. It's a nightmare scenario. Meanwhile, on their push lap, grid restart, it might be a glitch, says C-Clay. Mercedes boys remind me of the W07 in 2016, so says Celindo in the comment section. On board we go now with Zotal, who's already begun his final push lap here. The Mercedes drivers on outlaps are slowing each other down, or rather moving slowly, trying to get some temperature into those tires. That penalty might have been for being way too slow on pit exit. Speaking of what we saw as far as those penalties are concerned. Now, the Mercedes pair and Django have just begun their push laps. Zotal has found about a hundredth of a second of improvement, but he may have just lifted off and given it up because that exit did not go as well as he might have wanted. On board with Mercurial Caesar, his teammate Don Rabico has of course already begun. He's found 3/100ths of a second has Mercurial Caesar come the end of Sector 1. Not quite on the apex through turn 5, and he's given it up. Mercurial Caesar has given it up. He's no longer going to push. He's not happy with that effort, which means it could be advantage Don Rabico as far as setting the outright quickest time in this session is concerned. But you might not know he's down as Don Rabico, down 6/100ths of a second. So both Mercedes not managing to find an improvement here come the end of this qualifying session. It is still Don Rabico, provisional pole position. He did not find improvement. He's abandoning his lap. But what about Django? He's also seemingly, was he down? But what will happen now towards the end of Django's push lap? Will he pip the 2 Mercedes driver? He tried, but it's still P3. Marginal improvement, but 111.384. Good enough only for P3. Loveness is back into the pits. What about Ben Colby? He's just crossed the line. He finds marginal improvement and just overtakes or leapfrogs his teammate. Van Kroby's 112.594, good enough for P9. So it's Don Rabico who comes away from Q3 with the quickest time, a 111.295. Mercurial Caesar abandoned it at the end there. It was a 111.298. And, well, Shalane Shake says, you know what? Well, Tier 3 has the quickest pole lap that we've seen this week. Track conditions worsened, reckons C-Clay in the comments section. Well, well, well. At the end of that poll, those of you who voted for Don Rabico were absolutely correct. 71% of you said it was going to be Don Rabico, 19% said it was going to be Django, and 4% said it was going to be Mercurial Caesar, with Zotal having the same. About 21% of you voted, so thank you for that. Please remember to like the stream if you have not done so already. There it is. Look at the margins. 3/1000th of a second. And sadly, Don Rabico has that grid penalty, which will see him slip down the starting order. Man, oh man, oh man. I voted for Zotal, says C-Clay. That's where he got his 4%. Loveness was a second back, so it's Django and Debo Crocodile in P3 and 4. On that second vote, Loveness managed to qualify in P5. And we will have a race on our hands. Don Ravico says this game is stupid. C-Clay says, hey, restart the lobby. Blue Hendrick says, be careful, Don. They're going to say it's not you racing. Quoting, of course, some of the jibes that Mercurial Caesar has thrown towards their teammate. Welcome, everybody, to Barcelona. Welcome to race number 5 of the BrakeAway Racing League season. What kind of action will we see out here in Spain? Welcome to Barcelona. We have 5 lights. It's a beautiful day. The lights are out and we are racing. Will Django gone on the attack towards turn 1. He tucks into the slipstream of Mercurial Caesar. Don Ravico starting from P5. Mercurial Caesar has the inside line into turn 1. There's contact between Caesar and Django, who goes off the track and tries to reclaim race position. He's going to lose a couple of positions. Don Ravico trying to fight his way. He's on the outside of Thibaut Crocodile. Is Don Ravico as they now send it marching through the first sector to conclude that sector 1. It is Mercurial Caesar from Loveness who has done very, very well to gain a couple of places here and is up to P2. Sensational start by the AlphaTauri drivers. The Piso has retired. The first casualty of the race brings out the virtual safety car, and for a huge collision with Debo Crocodile, Zotal earns a 5-second time penalty. Pandemonium, chaos, and it looks like it might be a full safety car here to start proceedings. Man, oh man, oh man. Mercurial Caesar leads under the safety car in a chaotic start, similarly chaotic as was the case in Tier 2 last night. Caesar is going to lead the way around this circuit. No need to pit, of course. We're going to get a sense of who might have taken significant damage. None of the top 5, none of the top 6 coming into the pit. Sig figure of speech. Man Ray, or rather Mandla, is in the pits. Ban Kobe starts. Fire emoji, says Secla in the comment section. Ban Kobe getting 4 places at the race start. Tindo is going to benefit from some of these early pits, as will Enlebo, gaining 4 places each. They respectively are up to P10 and 11 respectively. Nintendo Wii, sadly it seems Mex had joined the lobby, but I did see him leaving the lobby soon after. It may have been a connection issue as far as he's concerned. Zotal get a time penalty. They're only now switching tires and fitting a brand new wing for him, and he's going to have to fight his way back down from P14, losing 6 places. Mercurial Caesar from Loveness, what a start from them. P2, Smirts Django, of course, was promoted to P2 courtesy of Don Ravico's penalty. He is now going to have the fight of his life trying to keep this Mercedes driver, championship leader Don Ravico, at bay. Behind Don is Ban Kobe, who gained those 4 places as we have mentioned. Let's take a look at what the thinking is as far as tire strategies are concerned. All of the top 5 with a set of medium compound tires to start this race. Debo Crocodile, aggressive with those brand new soft to begin their tour around the circuit here in Spain. He will start, or rather he will resume this race from P6. Debo Crocodile, a distant cousin of the Debo Alligator. We're not sure whether or not he is kin to Debo Cayman in other parts of the world. Stage figure of speech is in P7. 1 point, we're under the safety car. No need to pay too close attention to the Delta as things currently stand. Man Ray on those brand new hards. He's going to go long initially here. D-Wax also following suit as far as the medium tire starts are concerned. It's at P2 for him. Well, he's into the point, is D-Wax, taking advantage of these early pit stops. Tindo is in the lobby. Sadly, could not take part in qualifying, but is here to stake their claim for a decent haul of points. And Lebo is in P11, and Romeo Mandla is now in that P12 spot. Tepo Temba on those brand new hard tires, and Zotal round off the field and the drivers who are active and running in this lobby. Well, it is advantage Mercurial Caesar in as far as the championship is concerned. Mercurial versus Don Rabico. The safety car, hopefully this is the final tour around this 4.6 kilometer circuit. As you've seen through qualifying, it is such an interesting circuit, a challenging mix of both high and low speed corners. That turn 3 right-hander, which feels never ending from the vantage point of the drivers, turns 3 and 4 right-handers, really do test the balance of your of the car underneath you. A standard pit stop around here is about 19.6 seconds. You do save time, of course, if it is under the safety car. Tipiso asks, what? Oh no, it's another time penalty for Don Rabico. This time for a collision with Pan Kobe, who is behind him. Might it be a case of having braked into the back of the Mercedes driver? It might be the case. We're now going to watch when he will send it. Pan Kobe took wing damage, as you can see him now coming into the pits. It is Caesar from Loveness who will begin the push lap as the safety car has returned into the pit lane. Django trying to put pressure on Loveness. There goes Caesar through turns 1 and 2. Cleanly so. Behind Django is Don Rabico, who's having a nightmare of a day as far as penalties are concerned. He was the fastest driver through qualifying, but that time penalty will cost him dearly. Lobby is strong. It's Rich Django on the inside, potentially, of Loveness, who was wide on the exit of turn 4. But Django was not close enough to go for that move. So instead, they maintained the same formation. Half a second separating each of the drivers from positions 1 to P4, so the distance between those drivers, but Loveness inching closer and closer to the race leader. In towards turn number 9, we do know Loveness takes no prisoners as far as seizing any opportunities to potentially overtake are concerned. He did oh so sensationally well to the AlphaTauri driver, finds himself now comfortably in the podium position at this early stage of this race. But the Mercurial Caesar through turns 12, 13, and 14 seems to be enjoying an advantage. He's clean through. Quickest driver thus far is Smirch Django, who is being hunted down, of course, by Don Rabico. It seems that Tindo has had to make an early pit stop. Here comes Django. Now, still trying to apply the pressure on Loveness, who impressively has managed to keep Django at bay while pressuring Mercurial Caesar for the lead of this race. 5 laps elapsed in this 33-lap showcase here in Barcelona. We saw that slight twitch of the rear that Loveness had there, but he's kept his car, his composure, his cool together here. These are turns 7 and 8. Django happy to take a little bit more of the curbs, relatively speaking. Meanwhile, Don Rabico is there and thereabouts. They're running in such close formation as they send these cars screaming down towards turn number 9. Debo Crocodile, huffing and puffing, might have to have his say versus the stewards concerning his incident, which sent Tepiso tumbling out effectively of this race. Tepiso, sadly, first casualty of this race. We are now beginning the 6th lap. Who is the quickest driver? It is Nerds. Django, definitely quicker than Loveness. Side by side, wheel to wheel, and Django has got it done. Even Don Ravago says thank you. I will just hang on to that McLaren's coattails and overtake Loveness, who now gets nudged down to P4. Don Ravago with a time penalty to contend with. Here they come now. Beautiful sweeping overhead shot. Sweeping through turns 3, and this is 4. On board we go with Don Ravago. Meanwhile, down in the midfield, there's a titanic tussle between the likes of Teppo Temba and Zotal. We will hop on board with that battle to get a sense of how that is necessarily going. Don Ravago is going to have to bide his time, and this DRS stretch may be a golden opportunity to go for it, tuck into the slipstream. He opens up that rear wing. He tucks closer and closer to the McLaren. They're within DRS, but not quite close enough to get that move done. Meanwhile, in the midfield, it is Zotal versus Mandla. Zotal on the hunt. The Ferrari tucks into the inside, has a sniff of whether or not he could have gone for it into turn 9, but was not close enough. Mandla extends that gap on the exit of 10. Zotal is going to have to be inch perfect through 13 and 14. Nothing less than flat out will give him a fighting chance. Huge lift off the throttle there by Zotal. Of course, the car is heavy with fuel. Zotal using a set of hard tires at the early stages of the race, but down the main straight, Zotal, superior straight line speed, gets the cleanest of overtakes and now is up to P8. Mandla will now have to be, have to contend with the specter of Teppo Temba, who is not going to make life easy for him. Mandla is fighting back here, and perhaps as they make their way through towards the DRS stretch of turn 9, Mandla may yet have some sort of a save for all is said and done. Zotal, wider line on the exit of turn 5. Mandla giving it a go, giving it a push, applying all of the pressure. And it is going to be one to watch. Meanwhile, Don Ravago still keeping Django under pressure at the top. Bankobi is the quickest driver out on track, as we see Mandla down the DRS stretch did not have enough pace to effect, a revenge overtake on the Ferrari there. Teppo Temba biding his time, will look to take advantage. Don Ravago is going wheel to wheel, side by side with Django. He's on the inside, and Django is nudged down to P3. But may yet be content just to hang on to the coattails of the Mercedes driver ahead here. 8 laps of a total 33 done. It is Mercurial Caesar, race leader from teammate Don Ravago, who has that time penalty to contend with, don't you forget. All of the drivers in the top 4 having started on those medium compound tires. Django flat out through 9. Drivers in positions 2 and 3 have the advantage of DRS, but perhaps happy to allow Mercurial Caesar to drain their battery in Django's effort to stay in touch with the leaders. He is down to about 20% of his battery power. Meanwhile, Don Ravago sets the fastest time of the day, has the advantage of DRS. He's got it open. He's on the inside, and he's got the overtake done through turn number 1. Now up to the lead of this race, and it is now going to be a battle of wits, a battle of pace. But Mercurial Caesar knows, of course, that he has in his pocket, of course, that 5-second time penalty, which will cost Don Ravago dearly when he comes into the pits. So now he is going to have to be inch perfect, will Don Ravago. And this, of course, is going to be a test of true pace for each of these drivers in the leading trio. Mercurial Caesar, what sort of an answer will he have to his teammate overtaking him? Well, it's my turn to have DRS, Caesar is going to be able to say. And will come ever so close to the back of that rival Mercedes W14. Smirch Jangle has the best seat in the house as far as the battle for the lead of this race is concerned. Much more aggressive through the final corner. It was Django's turn to be flat out there. And Mercurial Caesar is going to go for it into turn 1, or will he? Well, he thought about it, but opted to stay tucked into the slipstream there. Django, Rabico took a lot more of the curve through turn 4. Which gave Mercurial Caesar a little bit of momentum to get closer and closer through turns 5 and 6. Mercurial Caesar still seems to be happier with the limits and is much more comfortable riding the curves comparatively to Don Rabico. Caesar will use these laps behind their teammate to charge up that battery, knowing of course that this might pressure Don Rabico to use his battery to try and escape the clutches of their teammate. Here we go now, a 3-car DRS train. Don Rabico dives towards the inside to defend the potential overtake. Caesar inches closer, but says, I'm happy to stay tucked into your slipstream and not necessarily go for any unnecessary moves. So the top 3 in lap 11, as yet unchanged. Loveness running at P4 now, definitely slipping further and further away. He's about 7.5 seconds behind the race leader. Fig is a further about 2 seconds behind Loveness, currently running in that P5 spot. Debo Crocodile on those aging soft tires is really, going to struggle for grip. The further we go into this first stint, those tires will be screaming. Zotal is some way away from Debo Crocodile, playing catch-up here. 9-lap old hard tires for the Ferrari driver. Ikawako D-Wax is out here, about 3.5 seconds behind Zotal. Mandla is trying to put D-Wax under all of the pressure. Mercurial Caesar has slipped out of Don Rabico's DRS, and Smirch Django is inching closer and closer to the Mercedes driver, meanwhile at the top of the pops. Tepo Temba had to make an earlier pit stop than he would have wanted. It really threw his strategy under the bus. P10 currently for him. Man Ray is 11th, Tindo 12th, and number 13th, Kobe. P14 will definitely be hoping for another safety car before all is said and done. As you can see, he's about 1 minute 6 seconds behind the race leaders. Look on the track map where Kobe is, and the trio of Rabico, Caesar, and Django are inching closer and closer. Tipiso says, I just watched the footage. I pulled a Hamilton on Debo. I withdraw my comments. Fair play, Tipiso. Back to the front we go. Inching closer and closer to the halfway point of this race. All these cars back within DRS of one another. Quickest driver out on track is still Don Rabico, 1 minute 14.959, marginally quicker than their teammate, 115.052. And this man on that 115.173. Django now on the attack. Django on the inside of Mercurial Caesar. They're side by side. It's wheel-to-wheel stuff. Even though Django's used up so much of his battery power, Mercurial Caesar will see that the McLaren is flashing. He will just need to bide his time here. And Django is now up to P2. 9/10 of a second now separating Smirch Django and Don Rabico. Django's going to struggle to stay in touch here. Considering that battery power is lost, he is going to hope and pray to cross that DRS detection point within a second so that he can use the DRS. Thankfully he did, so both the McLaren and the chasing Mercedes managed to open up that rear wing, gain a little bit of speed, and inch closer and closer to race leading Don Rabico. Why would Django overtake so soon? Asks Justice, aka Context, in the comment section. I do not understand that move by Django. This is Mercurial Caesar perhaps deploying a little bit more of his battery power to inch closer and closer to that racy McLaren ahead. And towards turn 1, they are still running in formation. Debo Crocodile from those aging softs, 13 laps old now. Perhaps this will be a soft to hard tire strategy for Debo Crocodile. Time will tell. Inching towards the halfway point of this mark, we are on to lap number 14. D-Wax has just been overtaken by Temba into turn 1. Will he fight it? AlphaTauri versus Williams, mediums versus hard. It is advantage Temba as far as tire compounds are concerned at this particular point. You would rather be in 12 lap old hards than 13 lap old mediums. Towards the end of their first long stints of these tires, Man Ray has just come into the pits for a brand spanking set of medium compound tires. City Boy Ravico says Grimjaw in the comment section. Oh, Temba. A little bit of a moment there. Don Ravico has opted to come into the pits for the undercut versus their teammate. Will it work? Will it pay off? He serves his 5-second time penalty. Smirch Django is the new race leader. So at this particular point, with Don Ravico in the pits, Caesar knows that he cannot be held up. This is going to be crucial to the effectiveness of Don Ravico's attempted undercut. And Smirch Django is going to look to make that car as wide as possible. We do know, of course, that Smirch Django and Don Ravico are fast friends off the track. Will Django be doing Don Ravico a favor as far as holding up Mercurial Caesar as much as he possibly can? Well, time will tell here, folks. Don Ravico is out, and he's about 27.2 seconds behind Smirch Django. And the question then becomes, with 15 laps elapsed, when will they come into the pit? The answer is not now. They both keep it going. And Don Ravico's undercut, the virtual safety car would have been perfect for these two to come in. But sadly, they missed their pit window. And the virtual safety car might give, Stitch Fig the window to come in. Debo Crocodile, the window to come in. Will Zotal waste this opportunity? The answer is no. So they're going to save time coming into the pits under the virtual safety car. Remember, a standard pit stop here costs you about 19 seconds. Billy Hendricks says, I am loving this. Brand new mediums for Zotal. Brand new hards for Sage Figure's speech that he will take towards the end of this race. And with the virtual safety car not yet having ended, it is a not a quintet, but 6 drivers currently in the pits, including Mandla, who has just fitted a fresh set of medium compound tires. Van Kobe has also yet to pit. Oh no, Temba speeding out of the safety car will earn a drive-through penalty. The safety car has just ended, so Temba seemingly was anticipating that, but not quite nailing the times there. Well, here comes Mercurial Caesar and Don Ravico, or rather, and Smirch Django into the pits. Don Ravico has served their time penalty. He took advantage of the fact that both Django and Mercurial Caesar missed the pit lane as far as coming into the pits. So he might not be close enough here to come out ahead. No, he definitely won't be close enough to come out ahead of either of them. But he will hope at the very least that on this slow pit exit, it is going to be close enough to be able to give them one heck of a fight. Now, Caesar, Ravico, P2 and 3, the two drivers at the top of the championship standings. The gap between them is now 5 seconds and shrinking. Don Ravico doing a decent job. Of course, that 5 seconds can be accounted for if you consider his time penalty that he served in the pits. So he's gained a net 0.4 of a second. Make that 5, so he's gained half a tenth of the second, considering he did serve that time penalty. And now he is going to have to be inch perfect from now to the end of the race. So most of the drivers having served their time penalties already. That's the situation, folks. Zotal has made 2 stops, as has Mandla, Tepotemba, Bad Kobe, Tindo. And the Latcher is in the pits as things currently stand. Mercurial Caesar is going to try and overtake this McLaren of Smirch Jangle, who tries to defend the inside. Oh no! Try not to weave on the straight. Do they make a little bit of contact there? It's the one towards turn 1. They do make contact. Smirch Jangle spins off the track there through turn 1. And was Jangle perhaps too eager to hang on there? He loses 2 places in the space of a couple of corners. Smirch Jangle there. Let me know who had right of way. Jangle defended the inside, but Mercurial Caesar dived even tighter, or rather dived on the outside, and then we saw Django trying to line up his move towards turn number 1. They made contact through turn 1, and it is Smirch Django who came off second best, now down to P3. Well. I can't wait for the post-race interview, says Wendell Chesi. Django messed himself up there. What was he doing? Was he trying to block? Asks Enquali in the comments section. Well, Don Ramico will be happy that he did not have to fight too hard for that P2 spot. Mercurial Caesar now, on his fight back, is the quickest driver on track, having set that time in the 1 minute 13th, as you would have just seen. Now, Don Ramico has fought tooth and nail to get back into the reckoning here. But despite that, battery power is still at about 95%. 4.5 seconds is a gap to the race lead. And Mercurial Caesar is down to about 55% relative to the other drivers that are trying to fight for the race win. Let's catch up now in the midfield. It is Sitch Figure of Speech versus Zotile. It is the battle, effectively, for P5, because Zotal is within touching distance of Debo Crocodile. Kin to Debo Alligator, possibly Debo Cayman. Now, Sitch Figure of Speech, 0.6 of a second. What can he do versus the Ferrari ahead? Mediums versus hards. At this point in time, it's advantage Zotile. 19 laps gone. They're lapping a slow-moving Enlebo here, who is all the way at the back. As you can see, Enlebo has already been lapped up by the leading drivers and is now on the verge of being lapped by Sige, Figure of Speech. There we go. Sadly, Sige has fallen out of Zotal's DRS. Meanwhile, the Ferrari is on the attack. Debo Crocodile is on the inside. Do they make contact? Almost. Through turn 1, they give each other margin over there. Debo Crocodile manages to keep that car running without making unnecessary contact with Zotal ahead. They're both flashing down to about 10% or less of that battery power. Oh, Debo Crocodile takes a lot of curb on both sides of the track. Sitch Figure of Speech will not need a second invitation in the run towards turn 5 here. Sitch Figure of Speech not quite close enough. Debo Crocodile will thank his lucky stars that the Red Bull on the hunt was not close enough to take advantage of that mistake. He's still somehow, by the skin of his teeth, within touching distance of that DRS gap to Zotal ahead. Debo Crocodile now has the pound seats to this battle for P5. Debo should have taken out the second Ferrari. 2 out of 2, says Wendell Chesi, with the banter in the comment section. Of course, sadly, Tepiso had a moment of contact there. Out of this race is Tepiso. Sage Fig versus Debo Crocodile versus Zotal for P5. They're struggling for battery power. It's advantage Sage figure of speech at this point. 60% the battery power versus the flashing Aston Martin and Ferrari ahead of him. It is not going to be easy for Zotal to keep this man at bay. Taking a look at the situation as far as the championship is concerned. Sage Fig is currently slap bang in the middle of the standings with 10 total championship points. He currently is P10 in the driver standings. Debo Crocodile, meanwhile, is P13, 6 total points. Zotal is all the way up in P4. He has 46 championship points before they started this race here in Qatar. Ban Kobe's day goes from bad to worse. Earns his first 3-second time penalty for track limit incursions. Sage figure of speech advantage as far as that battery is concerned, but sadly not pace-wise. Oh, Debo Crocodile almost giving Zotal some headaches there. And as Zotal has to watch out for the Aston Martin, Sage figure of speech is going to say, well, thank you for this opportunity. I shall not pass it up. Debo Crocodile within 2/10 of the screaming Scarlet Red Ferrari ahead. They go through turns 3 and 4. Oh, so close. P5, 6, and 7 separated by about just over a second or so. Sage Fake much more comfortable through the curves of 7 and 8. Lifts off the throttle through 9 there. Could have been a golden opportunity to apply the pressure. This is the vantage point for the back of Zotal's car, being hunted down by the Aston Martin and Red Bull behind. Here comes Debo Crocodile. He's thinking about diving for it on the inside towards turn number 1. Tries, he might not quite close enough to go for it there. And Debo Crocodile just going to have to bide his time with about 10 laps of racing still to go. The 23rd lap has been initiated by the leading trio. I would have you know, Smooch Django is still within touching distance of the Mercedes of Don Rabico ahead. Well, he has been known as Django to take advantage of the overzealous level of fighting between the two Mercedes. And if he could play his cards right, well, might be in with a good shout here to do exactly that. If Don Rabico, big if, he manages to catch up to his teammate. He's managed to trim that gap down to about 3.2 seconds now. But, well, it's definitely been hard work as Django took a peek on the inside of Don Rabico. Look at that. Despite being in Rabico's coattails and within DRS, Smudge Django has really drained that battery. If you look on that steering wheel, the yellow marker, the yellow bar, is an indication of remaining battery power. And well, it has been an all-out push by Smudge Django, trying to stay in touch with Mercurial Caesar. The safety car would really shake things up here and really eliminate Mercurial Caesar's 3.2 second advantage and really throw the cat among the pigeons over here. But regardless of that, it has still been a job well done by Mercurial Caesar. 3.2 seconds ahead of the chasing pack. Caboza reckons that Rabico's 5 seconds will be removed on the at the end of this race. Thanks, Liddy, for the love in the comment section. Really appreciate all of you taking part in this race and tuning in every single Thursday as far as Tier 1 is concerned. It is always such a pleasure to bring you this action, this time from the sunny region of Catalonia, and specifically Barcelona, in Spain. Oh no, bad to worse. Ban Kobe, it's another time penalty, this time 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. Is he pitting for a wing change, I wonder? Could he have taken some damage? The answer there is yes. It's a brand spanking new win for driver number 3, as well as a set of soft tires that he will push all the way to the end. Perhaps Ban Kobe now gonna make a play for the fastest lap of this race. Smirch Django is still within a second, but has used up all of his battery power trying to stay within Rabico's DRS. And one mistake, he will be out of DRS and out, potentially, of the reckoning. Ban Kobe has opted to retire his car, or was it a crash? Ban Kobe seems to have lost it on the exit of turn 1. And that brings out the safety car. Sector 1 is where Ban Kobe lost it, exiting the pit lane, perhaps pushing too hard, and that is the second safety car of the day. At the final stages of this race, things have really just notched up. The temperature heating up here. Oh, Don needed this, says C-Clay, even though Caboza is adamant that one of the time penalties for Rabico will be removed at the end of this race. But C-Clay says, nah, regardless, Rabico will win on track. Fente says he did it on purpose. Perhaps speaking about Ban Kobe's crashing out. Ban Kobe was sent, says Sir Lancelot in the comment section. Ban Kobe, the second driver to crash out of this race. Mercurial Caesar into the pits under the safety car. Don Rabico follows suit. We can expect a fresh set of soft tires here. But remember, it's going to be a double stack here. That's why Don Rabico's trying to slow down as much as he possibly can. So the tables have turned here. Last time out, it was Don Rabico who was slowing down Mercurial Caesar at that double stack, and that meant that Smirch Tangle managed to take P2. Will it be the case this time around? No! Marginally. Yes, it is! Don Rabico is P3. Smirch Tangle has managed to be sandwiched in between the double stacking Mercedes cars. It is a repeat of the situation that we saw in Baku in race 3. And now, instead of Mercurial Caesar being the one having to claw back from P3, it's Don Rabico's turn. Oh, how the tables turn in the top tier of BrakeAway League Racing. And whether or not that penalty could be removed, this will be crucial for Smirch Django's prospects here. Django is third in the driver's standings. His only race win this season for the McLaren driver, Smirch Django. His only race win was back in race 2 in Saudi Arabia. Don Rabico has won 2 races. That was race 1 in China, race 3 in Baku. Mercurial Caesar was absolutely peerless in Qatar. Coming home in P2, rather in P1 in Qatar, that was Mercurial Caesar. I would have you know, some of us tuned into the Indian Racing League's race in Qatar, and he did not win Mercurial Caesar, but pace-wise, he was there and thereabouts. He was really giving them hell. I think it was undone by strategy towards the end of that race. But I tell you what, he does have experience in some extremely competitive racing leagues, does Mercurial Caesar. And, well, he's bringing his pace now to the BrakeAway Racing League. Was patient and clawed his way through the BrakeAway Racing League ladder through tiers 3 and then 2. Now he is up into the top tier, and come the end of this race, may yet take command, take control of this championship. Mercurial Caesar leads from Smirch Django after those pit stops. Don Radical is in P3. Loveness is back in P4. Brand new sauce for him. Zotal, P5. 2-lap old softs for him. Sid's figure of speech might be in line for a very decent points finish here. His best result this season, or his best finish, was only P8. My controller's batteries died, says Ban Kobe in the comment section. We do commiserate with you there. We saw you coming out on those brand new softs, Ban Kobe. And the next thing you know, he was completely out, necessitating this safety car. Such figure of speech has a decent opportunity to grab their best result of the season. As we've mentioned, his best ever race result was P8. A result that he managed in China and in Qatar. Mandla is in the points. Golden opportunity for him. Remember, it has been nothing but DNFs. DNF in China, DNF in Saudi Arabia, DNF in Baku, DNF in Qatar in the feature races. So this is Mandla's golden opportunity here to finally collect points. P7, he's going to be under pressure from Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, of course. And Gawako D-Wax is also in the points. It has been a tough season by his standards. He's usually one of the most consistent points finishers, but his only points finish in a feature race, D-Wax, was a P10 back in Qatar. Seppo Temba down in P10 today. He's up in P6 in the driver's standings. He's got 28 total points. His best finish of the season thus far at Seppo Temba was a P6 in China as well as in Qatar. So he's got a decent chance here as we go around one more time under the safety car. I do hope it is the final lap under the safety car. Man Ray on those 3-lap old softs has claimed some points. Only 2 championship points this season. Sadly finishing outside the points in Baku and in Qatar. He finished 11th in Baku, finished 13th in Qatar, did Man Ray. His only points finish in a feature race was in China, where he came home in P9. Another driver who's been having a nightmare season is this man, and Nebo, already been lapped, already at the back of the pack, has yet to claim any points. He's DNF'd in China, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. He did not race in race 3 in Baku, so it's a nightmare scenario for him. And so far, Mandla and Nebo, Sun Hashira, the drivers mired in P18, 19, and 20, the bottom of the standings. But the big question is, what can Don Rabico do? What can Smirch Django do to challenge Mercurial Caesar before all is said and done here? Here we come now. We will have a 4-lap shootouts from lap number 30 onwards.
Uchongo ngai win ade ding ngam nyang ha chinai pega manchi pe sel ko ko he sagai chachi le dai ding la matre pule we pe phaka ko le McLaren.
Yes, the batteries have been charged. Mercurial Caesar will be charged. Will with getting racing underway. He sends it now through turns 13 and 14, and all of these drivers are absolutely punching it down the main straight in the scrap towards turn number 1. Django is oh so close. Will Django dive on the inside of Mercurial Caesar? He was not close enough to do that. There comes Don Radical hunting down the leading pair as things currently stand. Loveness is doing well to hang on to the coattails of the leading trio. He's about 8 tenths behind. It's Django on the outside. He made contact with Mercurial Caesar. That costs him P2, or does it? Here comes Don Radical now, looking to take advantage of that slight mistake by the McLaren. Perhaps Smirch Django was a little over-eager over there, and he did not manage to get the overtake done. Don Radical will have hoped to overtake cleanly and dispatch of Smirch Django over there, but that was not close enough to get that move done. It is Mercurial Caesar versus Smirch Django. It is going to be a hunt to grace. Django on the inside of turn 9. They make contact again. Django too eager. Django spinning. Django down towards P5, and Don Ramico will now have to run to chase his teammates in the scrap to begin the 31st of a total 33 laps. And Loveness is now up into the podium places. Tato, Loveness, the pride of AlphaTauri today, has done a sensational job to qualify among the top 5 drivers in Italy. And now he's up to P3. And Quali says, what did I tell you in the comment section? Django and Caesar, it is perhaps the bigger beast to watch on track. They've had skirmishes in China. They've come together more than once here in Spain. And now the Smirch Django is going to have to claw his way up from outside the podium places. P4-3 for Loveness, P4 for Zotal, who will be hunting down that AlphaTauri ahead of him. Now, Django gets too ambitious, says Enquali in the comments section. Too eager. Was not close enough, perhaps, to go for it the way that he did. Well, what can Don Ramico do here now? He's got 2 laps to get this race win done on track and not rely on any stewarding decisions to get him over the line. Mercurial Caesar, in control of this race, has led for most of this race. Wendell Chezzy says, I know who my driver of the day is. I want to hear who it is for you. DRS will be enabled for the final 2 laps of this race. And man, do we have an absolute cracker in prospect. It is Smirch Django biding his time, less than half a second behind Mercurial Caesar. Through turns 3 and 4 they go, and Smirch Django has a tighter line as they're now going to send it into turn 4. Less than 0.3 of a second separating the pair of Mercedes W14s. Mercurial Caesar, his turn to be under pressure, under duress, under siege, under attack from Don Ramico, who will have DRS coming into that long stretch between turns 9 and 10. That was turn 8. They both took the curve. They both looked comfortable. Don Ramico trying to keep it on the throttle, pedal to the metal, in the run towards turn number 9. This is where Smirch Django got overly eager, but Don Ramico does not lose patience there. He bides his time there in that scrap for the lead of this race. Meanwhile, Zotal is also biding his time, playing the long game, being patient in that run towards the final lap over here, which will be begun by Mercurial Caesar in the lead of this race. But here comes Don Ramico with DRS, with ERS. He's tucked into the slipstream. He takes the outside line. Mercurial Caesar is flashing. Mercurial Caesar is down to P2. Don Ramico with the cleanest of overtakes on the outside and towards turn number 1. And he has the advantage of battery power because Mercurial Caesar, try as he might, has been using up all of that battery power just to stay in contention for the win. Sepultemba is out. Sepultemba becomes the 3rd retiree out of this race. I pray that they do not crash. Perhaps, says Billy Hendricks in the comment section, the 3rd casualty means both of the Williams drivers will not finish this race, sadly for them. Mercurial Caesar trying to hang on here to perhaps put on some sort of a hallelujah maneuver in towards the conclusion of this race. Meanwhile, Zotal versus Loveness. It's the battle for the final podium place for Zotal, who has had to put on a recovery driver of his own towards the end of proceedings here. Now in towards turn number 9. Oh, Zotal came close, but no cigar over there. And Loveness will go squealing away out within a second of an advantage. And here comes Don Ramico, who qualified quickest, and he is the quickest driver here today. He crosses the line to win with the fastest lap of the race in Spain. Mercurial Caesar will have huffed and puffed, but he will settle for P2. Loveness, what a day, what a result, what a performance for the AlphaTauri driver. It's P3 for Tato, the pride of AlphaTauri today. Zotal comes home in P4. Django has to settle for P5. Stage figure of speech is P6 for Mandla, who claims his first points of the season. Mandla finishes in the points. P7 for the Alpha, or rather for the Haas driver. Zotal is voted driver of the day. Please talk to me, speak to me. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments section. He is levitating. Quoting Dua Lipa is Don Rabico there. What a celebration that is. Reminiscent of, Neo in The Matrix. If you're familiar with The Matrix Reloaded, there was a move that Neo did. Sensational there. Don Rabico wins. He is inevitable, says definitely Duke in the comment section. I'm ready for that Kanye West speech, says Billy Hendricks. Rabico was going to be so fired up in the commentary, says Wendell Chesney. Rabico is the GOAT, says Kid K in the comments. Ola the Don, says Nkwali. Fensei says Don, grid penalty, and then a 5-second penalty. Well done. Does that make Don your driver of the day? Let me know in the comment section, please, folks. Oh, what a sensationally entertaining last 4 laps we had, courtesy of that safety car. So, well, thank you, Pan Kobe, even though we did not want to see you crashing out. But that DNF by Ban Kobe gave us this entertaining final couple of laps. That is the points allocation here, folks. Don Rabico, 26 points, fastest lap to conclude the race. That is absolutely classy. 18 points towards Mercurial Caesar's prospect. Loveness on the podium. Kato, take a bow. What a beautiful performance that was by the AlphaTauri driver, who was sensational all throughout this session. Don's pace is disgusting, says C-Clay in the comment section. Rabico is definitely the Hamilton of breakaway, so says Sir Lancelot in the comment section. I'll tell you what, he was levitating on the podium, and he is first into the commentary box, just as he was to cross the line. Congratulations, Don Rabico. How does that feel? Take us through, number one, your quali, and the final push in which you had to abandon. In fact, I think all three of you in the top had to abandon somewhat in the final run of quali. Take us through your race, your penalties, and having to fight your way through the field. That was sensational.
Yeah, hi Tyson, how are you? Today's race was really tough. It was really tough, my friend. I don't know what happened with that 5 grid penalty. I was just parked on the side, and Django was behind me. We all coming on an out lap, and then it gave me 5 grid penalty, which it pissed me off, and it ruined my last lap because I was pissed off. I was actually up by 2/10 in the first sector, but I was just too annoyed with what happened. It made me lose my focus. We were looking at tenths, so quali didn't go as good, so already started bad.
Yeah.
And then now I had to start P6, so
Yeah.
I was very scared because the midfield is very dangerous. We never know what can happen there.
Yeah.
And then under the safety car, I don't know what was happening. The guys in front were slowing down suddenly. And then I got hit by Kobe from the back, so I got another 5-second penalty.
Yeah. They penalized you there. So that's the penalty that some people in the comments, Capoza specifically, reckoned would have been taken away. So even if you might have stayed at P2 and it would have been close with Mercurial Caesar, by virtue of that penalty removal, or one of them at least, you might have even claimed your race win. But still, how tough was it versus Mercurial Caesar? We saw you were closing the gap, so pace-wise, you definitely seem to be marginally quicker when you came out of that pit stop where you were about 5 seconds behind after you undercut them.
The race was close. The pace was close. But today I had a crazy headache, so I was driving not at my optimum. I was a bit disappointed with my pace, to be honest. But good result at the end of the day, good result. That's all. It was a good result. So GG to Mercurial, and GG to who finished in third?
It was this man who we're going to welcome to the podium for the first time this season. What a sensational qualifying he had. Tato, the pride of AlphaTauri, P3. What a sensational race that was. How does that feel? Take us through your qualifying, number one, and how you managed to fight your way through the pack. We were watching some of your onboard battles through the race. Congratulations, Loveness. Yeah. Well, man, it was beautiful to see you do your thing there. I also want to ask, Loveness, generally speaking, we've seen you put on some amazing performances, especially in wet weather conditions. Was this a track coming into this race where you felt this is a golden opportunity for a decent showing? Is this a place where you generally feel comfortable? Yeah. And when we are so glad to see how that all worked out for you. Congratulations. P3 is a beautiful, beautiful result. Next up is Canada. Ramico, I'll start with you. It's a punishing track as far as track limit penalties are concerned. How do you feel about your pace in Canada? And as far as the intel that you might have done on Mercurial Caesar's past performances there, what do you expect him to do? And as well as the likes of Django and Zotal, who are breathing down your necks in that battle at the top of the standings.
I can't really say much about Canada. I have not touched Canada, so we will find out this week.
All right. Don Remico playing it coy there, perhaps just keeping playing his cards close to his chest. Tato, I'll just ask you once again how the feeling is before going into Canada. All right. I am really, really happy for both of you guys. It's a pity Don, or rather Mercurial Caesar, has yet to join these commentary interviews. But nonetheless, we will try to keep on getting him on in future races. Of course, he's in a different time zone, so perhaps he's just shutting down and going straight to sleep. Thank you, everybody. It's been a beautiful race. Gentlemen, we will see you next week in Canada.
Same to you, man. Well done. Well done.
That was Don Ramico and Loveness, your podium finishers here today. I'm just catching up with the last of your comments before we wrap it up. Mandla gets his points. The road to avoiding the playoffs starts now, so says Sir Lancelot in the comments section. I see Clay bantering Bankovi saying, well, perhaps you got a brown envelope there to give us a sensational final 5 laps that we saw, in which Don Ramico put on an absolute, master class of patient driving to overtake Mercurial Caesar when he did. And we did see, of course, Caesar running out of battery power at the worst possible time and could not stay in touch after being overtaken. Despite everything, Don Ramico wins. He is inevitable. So says definitely Duke in the comment section. Everybody, it's been so great having you, as is always the case. Please join us for Tier 3, who will be racing in Canada next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central African time. And these folks in the top tier, you can catch them on Thursday from 7:30 Central African time, right here on our YouTube channel. Tier 1 will have a lot of new names next season. So says Billy Hendricks. Well, if anything, if the pace of Tier 2 is anything to go by, that is absolutely correct. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Don Ramico, and everybody in the comment section. We will see you later. Thank you and good night. Cheers, Tato.